Welcome to a demonstration about the Trade Cycles platform and the direct integration with the PsychSignal sentiment information. So this is a real new feature based on the cooperation between Trade and PsychSignal. So from now on you will be able to get the latest dominant cycle information on sentiment information on the PsychSignal website. Or we can access directly the PsychSignal raw sentiment information out of our Trade platform to put some cycle analysis on top of that. So you just select the PsychSignal data feed, use your API key, which is available via their PsychSignal website, and you're ready to go. So what we can do now, we can directly open new charts from the raw sentiment information which PsychSignal delivers us. We will just put the symbol there for which we want to get the sentiment information. In this case we will use the bundled sentiment on the technology sector which is available, and just open the chart here. And pure automatically it pops up the raw sentiment value which is plotted here in the upper chart. So this is the raw net score of processed social media sentiment information. This is not price information, this is real social media sentiment information, which is processed by PsychSignal. So a value above 0 means we have bullish information or sentiment out there, and a value below 0 means we have bearish sentiment based on the social media chatter or language which is out there processed. PsychSignal delivers additional data, which is also plotted here. So we have the Balbir ratio. We will have the Balbir balance view on the volume based on measured messages which indicate bullish language and messages which indicate bearish language, plotted in red here. And we have the overall messages processed here indicated as volume information, which means that on any given day we have the amount of messages which have been processed in the social media area here. So we have a lot of information here. We will just remove the ones we will not use for this example. So in this example we will concentrate on the raw bullish bearish net score sentiment information, which makes it quite interesting to put the cycle analysis on top of that. So this is what I want to demonstrate today. This is the full range of the technology sentiment information we've just loaded into our charting application. The raw information is very noisy, so it makes sense to smooth it out in the beginning. We will just use a standard smoothing algorithm here on top of that. So we have smoothed out the raw sentiment information here, make it more easily to see, and gray out the raw information here, so that we have a clear chart with the raw sentiment score here indicated by the red line. To map this against some interesting price information, as we are dealing with technology, we will map this against the NASDAQ 100 score. So I will just load up the NASDAQ 100 chart here, make it clean, and plot the NASDAQ 100 chart on top of the sentiment information. Just align the scale here that we can exactly compare the two charts. And what you see now here on top, we have the NASDAQ 100 price chart, and in the lower panel we have the raw sentiment information from PsychSignal on the technology sector here. So now we can start to put our cycle analysis on top of that. So we will start with the sentiment information here below, and what we will do here is we will use our cycle tools, and in this case the Dynamic Cycle Explorer, to put on top on this raw sentiment information. The Dynamic Cycle Explorer is able to detect the underlying dominant cycle fully automatically. So this gives us the real information about which current cycle is driving the sentiment. And as sentiment moves in cycles, it's a natural way to combine sentiment analysis with cycle analysis. So let's do that now. So we will use the standard settings for the Cycle Explorer. We will just tell them we want to talk about long-term cycles here. and we want to plot them on the chart back into the history. So we will just use the standard settings. Just go to 2012 as we want to review some data in the past, and apply the Cycle Explorer here. So this is what pops up automatically. This is the Dynamic Cycle Explorer in action, which has the blue line is the current detected cycle, shown against the red line, which is the real sentiment behavior filtered on this length to compare if we have a real detection here. And the diamond shows the current day where we are today in this analysis. So today we have end of May 2015. We started our analysis in 2012 for sure. Let's now review how these cycle analysis would have guided us through the year of 2013, 2014. So let's review the last 2 years by not changing anything on the indicator here. So to do that, we will go back into the past. We will give it 1 year of data for analysis. So we will start our live trading history somewhere in February 2013. So we will move back on the chart to let's use end of February 2013. So we will start our analysis here at end of February, so that we have 1 year of data for the Dynamic Cycle Explorer to process here. So the raw data is not of real information here, so we make this window a little bit smaller as we are interested in the cyclic movements of the sentiment here. But before we start our analysis, we will sync also the price chart and move to the same point in time in history. That we have also the price synced to the end of February 2013 for this example here. So now both charts are timely synced at the end of February 2013. So this is how it would have looked like during real conditions in February 2013. I will now sync these both charts, and now we can progress bar by bar into the future and see what we can get out of a clue out of these sentiment cycles here. So the first indication we have here, we are somehow expecting a sentiment low in April 2013 here. This is what this blue cycle here indicates. The second important information is the plotted red line here, which is the filtered sentiment information based on the given cycle, which has been detected here, in this case a length of 160. Which means that if we have a match between the blue and the red one, or we have high correlation here, we have a valid cycle projection here. This is important just to keep in mind. So now we will progress bar by bar. The next interesting point in time is here somewhere mid of April, where we would expect a sentiment low here. We see the cycles jump. This is just the normal behavior of the Dynamic Cycle Explorer. As mentioned before, we are not talking about static cycles in the past and in the future. So the benefit of the Dynamic Cycle Explorer is that it's able to update this cycle information at every new point in time. So this is no valid indication here as we are approaching now end of May. This is the shorter term cycle, this is the longer term cycle, and the longer term cycle now indicates a bottom. We are at the beginning of April, so now it turns exactly at the bottoming area. So at this given point in time here, we would expect the prices to bottom, as we expect from this point in time now sentiment to move from the most bearish point to the next bullish point or next highest bullish point at the summer, so somewhere in June, July this year. So let's see if we move forward in time, how the cycle would behave. You see just the shorter term cycle sometimes comes into play, but this cycle stays more and more stable here. So Now the shorter term cycle gives us a valid information here as it's stable during the last bars, and this is exactly approaching the top now. So the diamond shows the current day of our analysis, and at this given point in time the cycle here, which is also in alignment with the red one here, so we have a valid match and the valid information here that at this point in time, I think it's end of April here, and this is correlates to exactly this price information here, or beginning of May, somewhere in the beginning of May. This would expect the sentiment top, which would correlate to a market top at this point in time here. So we will progress in time, and we expect the next sentiment low somewhere to arrive at the end of June in this summer here. So we will move forward in time and just monitor the cycle. You see the cycle is slightly changing the bottoming area, and this is exactly happening as we deal with dynamic cycles here, which will not stay static exactly. So now you see that the low moved a little bit more to the left. Based on the cycle here, we see that the sentiment cycle is now expected to bottom. Price already turned up a little bit, so at this point in time we would expect the market to bottom now, and sentiment cycle starts to turn up. So this is the most bearish sentiment we would expect, and from this point in time we would expect sentiment to rise to the next most bullish point, expected here somewhere end of August of this year. So we will progress bar by bar. We will see that this cycle now stays very stable and solid here. This is a length about 107 bars or days. We have a good fit between the theoretical and the real sentiment movements here, so it's allowed to breathe. So we will now approach our expecting topping area here, which is arriving now exactly here. We will see price already started a little bit to turn down, so as we're trading price, not sentiment, so we have now the current point in time where we would expect now the market to top out at this point in time, and we will move back to the sentiment, which in the mid of October we would expect the sentiment low here. So let's progress, just monitor what's happening. We see at each new day that the cycle information changes as we are talking about dynamic components here. The cycle length is more or less stable around the length of 100 bars here, and now we see we are approaching now this bottoming area here. So sentiment cycle is now bottoming. Price cycle is at this, or price is moving at this point in time here. So at this given day we don't know about the future here on price or sentiment anyhow, so this indicates just that we would expect the market bottom here and sentiment just to increase into the period of December of the year, where we would expect the next market or sentiment top in this area here. So let's see how this plays out. We are approaching now the point in time. We have beginning of December here. Cycle is now approaching the topping area. So this is the point in time where we closely start to monitor price information. Price now is more or less topping out here at this point in time. Cycle turns now to the negative side, so this is the point in time where we would expect the market top here to happen. And from this point in time, sentiment is projected to move down into the end of January 2014. So let's move forward in time. We see that this still the same sentiment cycle seems to be active here on the chart. We are approaching now January 2014. I need to have a look on the price behavior here. So we see now we are approaching the low area here. Price is dropping, so we just need to closely watch price at this point in time. We have beginning of February, exactly this point in time. So here we have our market bottom here at this point in time. Oops. So from February 2014, we would expect the next top here in March. So we will progress now bar by bar. I will do it a little bit faster here, all this example, so you can understand what we're talking about. So now we're approaching the March period here, where we would expect the top here now and price to move down into the period of May 2014. So we will move forward in time. Okay, now you can see how the projected low just shifted from May now to April. So this is what happens with dynamic cycles, and this is especially the power of dynamic cycles. So we're still talking about the same cycle length of about 100 here, but now you see that the expected low comes more early in time. And as you know, that down periods are quite faster than up moving periods, so you can see that the cycle detection algorithm is able just to sync with the real behavior here. So at this point in time here, we would expect now the bottom to take place of this cycle here, and then move up into the June period of this year. So we have another interesting period situation here. There's no amplitude of this cycle here, so that the amplitude of this cycle is so low that it's not a valid projection. Even somehow it's showing a top here, there's no amplitude, and you see compared to the red real behavior, we have no valid correlation here. So this is no signal at all, so we will just move forward until we have our next valid cycle projection here. Now you see that the cycle comes back into play. We are on the long side still, so no new signal here, and now it's indicating a topping period now at the end of May. Now the amplitude goes up, and you see that we have again a match, a correlation between the red and the blue one. So now we have a valid projection again. We would expect a market top here at this point in time. So we will closely monitor price here. As it looks to turn now in this period here, we would expect the market to top here somehow, and now we would expect a downturn into end of July. So we will move forward in time here into the period of July. We are now approaching this bottoming area here. So now we would expect prices to move up from this point in time into the September period. So we will move forward here. You see that cycle slightly adjusted to current conditions. You see that we're now approaching the sentiment top here, price topped here in this area, so we will expect here the market to top at this point in time and move down into the end of October period. So let's move forward in time here, so that we will see that the bottoming area adjusts, but the general period stays the same. So now we are approaching the October period 2013. You see that now a longer term cycle comes into play, which is also a great correlation. So now we have a longer term cycle of 178. We have not changed anything on the indicator, so this was detected automatically that now the more longer term cycle is more dominant than the shorter term cycle. It's shown automatically. We have the same information here, so the short and long-term cycle project a low here in mid-October. So we need to closely monitor price. We will not trade sentiment alone. So when price starts to bottom here or just to turn, so sentiment just turned, price moved up for 2 days. So this would be the bottoming area of price here. So we would not now expect the price to move up into the end of the year of 2014. So let's see how it progresses here on the chart. You can see that the price sharply moved up, and now we are approaching the period of December. You see that there's a shorter term cycle also into play, which projected the same top here, but the longer term cycle is more stable at this point in time here. So we can see now the shorter term cycle past the topping period. the longer term cycle was approaching this period, price turned down, so we would mark this as the topping area here, and we would expect the cycle to move down now into end of January 2015. So let's now watch until we arrive at this juncture. So now we are in the mid of January. The sentiment cycle starts to bottom here in this area. So we would expect here the prices to bottom this point in time and expect them to move up into the period of March of this year. So stay stable. So we are moving upwards here into the area of March. So here we are coming now to the point where the cycle is expected to top. Price just started a little bit to turn, so this is the expecting topping area in regards to price, and now we would expect sentiment to move down into end of April this year. So let's just move forward bar by bar until we are approaching the next turning point of sentiment, which is expected to arrive somewhere now. Here we are at the end of March, end of April. So this would be the bottoming area here at this point in time, where we would expect now sentiment to rise or increase. So we will move forward in time, and we see that now we are approaching the today, which indicates more or less we are arriving at the top cycle here again. So now you have seen an uninterrupted bar-by-bar example on how the Dynamic Cycle Explorer on PsychSignal Sentiment would have worked in real conditions day by day. So it was not interrupted and the indicator was not changed. So this would have been the real situation if you hadn't monitored price in real time. So let's make it a little bit more bigger. So this would have been the real price movements on the chart. So let's mark it a little bit with some lines. So this would have been the price cycle. We would have been traded just purely on sentiment cycles here. So okay, this was not the running one. So but let's review it just in a minute. Just mark the turns more clearly here on the chart. Oops. So from here to here, we lost just one red arrow here. So here was the top area. So with the purple lines now, you see how we would have traded this cycle on price here, and you see how nicely we have been able to follow here the bottom to the topping area. Price moved down, top. So this was more or less a sideways or neutral one, but this was the big up move. Then a more sideways, slightly downwards move, then a big up move, big down move, big up move. Here, this was one loser, then a big up move, big down move, big up move, then a nice down move, big up move, so one sideways move. So out of these cyclic signals, only one had been a loser. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 signals, and just 1 out of 17 would have given us a wrong cyclic indication here. This example should show you how powerful the cycle analysis on raw sentiment information is. And just keep in mind that all these trade information which have been marked on the NASDAQ 100 chart here have been based on cycles which have been detected on sentiment. So this is trading real social media sentiment cycles provided today by the new data from PsychSignal, and I hope this shows you the power if you are able to combine raw sentiment information with cyclic analysis and to use this for trading. So thanks for listening, and you're welcome to visit PsychSignal and Winter Trade for more information on this topic.